Hello, my name is Linda, also known as Tortajala around the internet. I love creative journaling and all things stationery. And today I wanted to share a little arts and crafts supply haul with you from a store called Action here in Europe. I think it's comparable to like many of the discount shop chains that you can find in the US. Action is a Dutch international discount store chain, but I think the majority ownership is from like a British company. It has, low budget discount stuff, and they sell, snack food items as well as like home stuff, hardware, tools, all those little things. And I found out that they have arts and crafts supplies, so I had to go check it out. So this is a pack of six brushes by this Dutch brand, and I don't really know anything about it except that this pack of six brushes costs 99 euro cents. And I do a lot of, arts and crafts and artsy things with my kids. And I do have like older kids that are 12 and 10, but I also have a toddler that is two, almost three. So, you know, they're, even if they're very careful, things can get, sort of trashed after a while. And we also have some brushes that we only use outside because my little one likes to paint with like just water, like on, this sort of like tile wall thing that we have. And so when you just paint it with water, you see the marks, but then it'll dry up so you don't even have to clean it, which is like great for me. But that means that we have like outside brushes, inside brushes, depending on what we're doing. So that's just so affordable. It's so nice. I also bought these two watercolor sets, and at first, like I wasn't paying a lot of attention because I was sort of in a hurry. I didn't have time to look at like every single thing in detail, but they have so much stuff like papers, markers, scrapbook supplies, like just all the artistic stuff, like canvases, all that kind of stuff. But I grabbed these because I do want to get into watercoloring, and this metallic set, I didn't even realize it comes with a water brush already, but I suppose that they are designed so that, it's ready to use kind of thing on the go. So I like this little tin, and this is a metallics watercolor set, and comes with the water brush, and it only costs 1 euro 49. Crazy, right? So I'll definitely swatch these watercolors later on so that you could see the colors on paper, and we can talk a little bit about how they perform. And then this bigger set actually has 70 colors, and it also comes with a water brush as well. And it costs 4.99 euros. And it's one of those things where even if you know the quality isn't going to be like professional paints or anything like that, it's probably going to be good enough. And it means that I can be free to let my kids use it, like when we're out and about or traveling or whatever. And it just makes it so much easier than having to like protect supplies that are, especially art supplies that are much more expensive. And that means that your kids can really just be free. And of course, if you don't have kids, it just means that you can be free. So it comes in this little tin. I don't know if the tin is that secure because, like, the two pieces sort of like move around a bit. I mean, it's hinged together, but maybe it's not like heavy duty. I don't know how long this will last, but it's cute. And it has these like little plastic pieces sort of protecting all the pans of watercolor. So again, I will swatch all of these so that you could see what the colors look like and how they perform, and also see them all dried up. And just to let you know, I've already used them, so like it's pretty good. I think it's much better than like kids art supplies that you can buy, you know what I mean? Like art supplies that are meant for kids, which honestly sometimes is not even very affordable. So that's why I like these sort of like budget friendly arts and craft supplies for my kids to use, as well as for myself, because they just are much more affordable and they work way better. You know what I mean? I don't know, like, for example, if you've ever used like kids' colored pencils, sometimes they're really bad. You know what I mean? Like, they're just they're just not very good in terms of like pigment quality and color and stuff. So, yeah, I really appreciate the fact that there's this option to get, budget items. I also picked up this paper pad that is to make like DIY houses, and it's basically like um, the illustration of the house and the pieces already perforated, so you just have to like punch them out, color them up, and construct them, like glue them together. And I just thought it was so cute. They're all different house illustration designs. And this paper pad costs €1 and 39. So it's just so affordable and something that is going to be perfect for like crafting together, because as soon as school is out, I'm always searching for like just different things, and activities and such to do with my kids. Of course, we want to do things outside and things like that, but sometimes you just want like an inside activity that isn't like too messy, because sometimes painting can be a little bit messy. I guess this could get messy too if you're coloring with them. I suppose you're supposed to use markers with this instead of like watercolor, but, however it is you want to decorate them, it could be really fun just to like make some things with paper. And again, for, a euro something, I mean, it's like less than a latte, or like it's like the cost of an espresso or something here. And finally, the last thing I picked up was this pad of scrapbook papers and this 24 sheets. They're only one-sided, the designs, and they're different sized papers, but all 24 sheets, it only costs €1 and 68 cents. Isn't that crazy? I feel like it costs more to buy like blank paper. And I was just really attracted to these particular designs. I think because the whole sort of, I don't know what you call it, like cozy, creative, semi-vintage, like kitschy kind of, super bright, bold colors. Like they're very trendy these days, and I like colored things too in general. So I was just really attracted to this whole color palette and wanted to pick these up to perhaps use them to create like traveler's notebook inserts, like DIY inserts, but using this for the cover, because it's sort of like cardstock, and it's like sort of glossy-ish, a little bit. So it seems like it would be really good to use as like an insert cover, because it's thick but not so thick, not like 300 GSM that it's going to be hard to even like fold the paper kind of thing. So I think that that would be a good option. But of course, there are different size papers, so I can use that obviously for any kind of journaling, deco, that kind of thing. And it's also just so many fun patterns, like very inspiring, and makes me want to like design some of the patterns myself as well. I do have a lot of checkered patterns already. If you're into digital printables, by the way, I have my blog, tortajala.com, where I've already posted so many free printables that you can print your own scrapbook papers for journaling and making your own inserts. Super fun. So yeah, this whole stack of papers, €1 68. The DIY houses, 139. The watercolor set, the big one was 4.99. The metallics was 149, and the six brushes, 99 euro cents. Okay, now I'm going to show you all of the watercolors that I purchased, and I'm going to swatch them so that you could see all of the colors and also how they look dried. I'm using a Moleskin watercolor sketchbook, so it's not like super fancy watercolor paper, but I think that it's, pretty okay in terms of taking watercolor. And of course, I'm no expert at watercolors, and I don't really have a lot of experience, so I'm not really sharing my review or feedback from like any kind of technical or experience kind of point of view, but really just as a beginner. And more than anything, I probably have used a lot like of watercolor for little kids, which is usually really bad because they usually just have very like low pigment, you know what I mean? Like they're very light, and you know they're probably much more chalky and dry. So you have to add a lot of water to get it going, and then it like doesn't, give you as much um, deep pigment that you maybe would want. Um, this metallic set that I am swatching right now, it does seem pretty light. I tried to add like the water in and then like really work it in with the brush to try to get like as much pigment as possible. I mean, you can definitely see the color, but it is on like the lighter, almost like iridescent kind of effect. Um, One thing I noticed is whenever I use water brushes, I tend to stain them with whatever colors I'm using. I don't know if that is a normal thing or maybe because these water brushes are like discount water brushes, so the, plasticky kind of bristles, do they just like stain and you just can't get out the color? Is that the type of experience you get, I wonder? But I've noticed that from these water brushes and other like sort of similar discount ones that you can find rather than some of the more name brand water brushes that cost a lot more. So right now I'm going to go ahead and swatch all 70 of these watercolors from the set that costs, €4.99. Some of them do look very similar, and it's the kind of thing where if you look at them side by side really close, you'll notice, okay, there is some difference. They're not the exact same color, but like I said, some of them do look very close. And of course, I don't know if it would be a little bit different if I am perhaps more skilled and, depending on how much water you add, depending how much like you're trying to activate it, like are you getting really the true color or is it too watered down because I have too much water? I also only have 1 cup of water, so it's so dirty. Hopefully, I didn't contaminate, but it seems like you can see in the swatches that they are different. Um, but some colors are just very similar, even though like the first 4 pans are like reddish oranges, and the first two look very similar, and then like the third and fourth look very similar. When you look very, very closely side by side, then you're like, okay, no, they're not the same, but they are very similar. So I don't know. It's the kind of thing where some people believe that if you want to learn watercolor truly, you really should only have like primaries and like mixture colors so that you learn, the basics of color theory and things like that. But since my goal is really to be able to use these with my kids, having more colors is sort of nice because, it's hard for kids to, I mean, it's hard enough for adults, right, to be able to mix like colors perfectly. Even harder for kids when they're just trying to, you know, color something, make something. And so, even though it's fun for them to learn about color theory, they would be doing like very simplistic kind of color mixing just because it's like, ooh, it's like magic. It looks so cool. If you mix, blue and yellow, you get like a green color. But generally, it's just nice to have the pre-mixed colors, especially like these tones that are sort of like skin tones, because that's sort of hard to mix sometimes, and really hard to get like right, and you're like adding more water and like it just gets all crazy. So it's nice just to have all the options there uh, for you. So this whole side of the palette, these are all watercolor colors that are just straight colors. On the other side, those are more metallics. And originally I thought, oh, did I make a mistake buying the metallic palette, like the first one that I swatched, because they were already in this watercolor palette? But actually, they're slightly different, like just very slightly for two of the colors that I thought were the same, but they're actually not the same. And I don't know, maybe I put more water or less water, but really only two of the colors in the metallic watercolor palette look similar to the ones in this bigger palette. So you're really getting a huge range of colors, and I like how you get a lot of bright like pinks and sort of like floral, colors that are really nice to, paint with watercolors, but you also get a whole bunch of these like earthy tones, which again is another thing that is nice, especially if you want to paint, organic things, or outdoor scenes, um, or plein air, type of things. So it's just nice to have just this huge variety of colors already pre-mixed for you. And as I was swatching these out, I did use a lot of water and I did like scrub a lot because I wanted to make sure that I would get like the pigment, the actual color of the pan and not have it be too light. But I really didn't experience any like quote unquote problems of it being like too chalky or too watery or hard to get the pan to like activate to get the color. You can see that the colors are very brilliant and really nice. So I was really surprised because for the price, I mean, it's definitely better than like kids sets, you know what I mean? So I would rather buy this for my kids than buy like whatever brand name kid set. Um, and of course, depending on how you like to use your watercolor, more water, less water, you I think it's better when you have things that have more pigment, because technically they're supposed to be, better quality, because you can always water it down as opposed to adding more pigment. I'm sure these are, not as good as professional grade, and you can tell sometimes the difference because the pans themselves, they obviously have some type of, binder or chalkiness to them because they're not like professional grade. Like they're very different, like texture than my like Daniel Smith watercolors, but they're still really, really good. And I was just really surprised that for $5 you could get something so nice that you probably can use for a really long time for all kinds of, projects. And again, it's just this mind or mental shift kind of thing that when you have something that's inexpensive, somehow you end up just being more free with using it as opposed to something that is more expensive and then it seems precious and then you don't want to use them because you're like trying to figure out the whole time, like to do it justice, right? To use the materials well. So I feel like as a beginner, having this kind of stuff where it's good enough that, of course, you're getting enough color. It's not like chalky, it's not like kids stuff that doesn't work well for whatever reason. It's like good enough, but it's not going to break the bank. So you can get brushes, you can get watercolors. They actually did have notebooks as well and all kinds of other art supplies. So I really want to go back. So after doing all the swatches, here I would just want to show you some shots of the swatches pretty much dry. So these are the metallics. So you can see very like iridescent pearly almost. Um, it doesn't say that, it just says metallics, but to me they seem like pearly kind of metallic. And here are the swatches of the colors. You can see so brilliant, right? There are some lighter colors, but definitely you can see all of the pigments and the colors. And the two rows in the bottom are the metallic ones, which again, it's for some reason I thought metallics were going to be like super bright, but no, it's just like that opalescence kind of feel to it. So that is my haul from Action, and I just wanted to share with you and let you take a peek at all of these supplies in case you were wondering. And now I definitely have to go back because they have so many other supplies that I didn't have a chance to check out, like acrylic markers, other like canvases, notebooks, just so many of supplies that are affordable because acrylic markers, they're really expensive. But if you can find something that works like pretty well, I think that that's good enough for, learning, experimentation purposes. So I just feel like one is good for kids, but two, it's also just good for, when you're learning and you don't need the professional grade supplies to use. So, yeah, that is all that I wanted to share with you. And I wanted to thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more stationery videos, please subscribe. I wish you a lovely day. Until next time, bye.